Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable podcast, where we sit down with some of the most successful real estate agents, brokers, and team leaders to learn about their journeys in this industry. I'm your host, Art Bettuzzi, and as a seasoned real estate agent of 29 years, I'm always fascinated by the stories of how others found success in this business. On this podcast, we'll be talking to our guests about the obstacles they overcame, the lessons they learned, and the tips and strategies they're using in today's ever-changing market. Whether you're a real estate agent, broker, team leader, investor, or just someone interested in real estate, you're in the right place. Our guests come from a variety of backgrounds, and they all have unique insights to share. We want to have fun with these interviews, but we also want to make sure that you come away with actionable tips that you can implement in your own business. New episodes will be released weekly, so be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us on the Real Estate Roundtable podcast. Let's get started. All right, everybody, welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Art Bettuzzi, and I am joined today by a former student of mine. His name is Jertheus J. Butts, and Jay is with Coldwell Banker, Gold Coast, and he is also the president of Beyond the Closing Table. That's his company. And I asked Jay to be here today because, and by the way, if you can see Jay, you can see that he's driving, because I asked him to be part of the podcast. He said, absolutely, I'll do it, man. Pick a time. And we did pick a time. And then he got a call and he said, Art, real estate happens. And he's not kidding. So we are going to be interviewing Jay in the car on his way to a meeting at one of his offices out in the suburbs. So if he looks a little distracted, let the guy drive. It's okay. He's still going to talk to us. He's still going to drop some pearls of wisdom on us. So I appreciate everybody understanding that, hey, when the client calls, you got to go, baby. Right, Jay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's all good. You know how real estate is, though, you know?
I do know how real estate is.
It's unpredictable, man. It's unpredictable.
So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Jay. So, you know, when I was putting the podcast together, I was thinking about the people that I know who are in the business and who are doing well in the business and who are putting themselves out there. And your name came to mind. And I have been watching, as I do with a lot of my former students, I've been watching, you know, what you've been doing on social media. I've been watching what you've been doing as far as, you know, closings and that kind of thing. And, you know, it certainly appears that you are having one rockin' of a career. So yeah, it's been about what, little over 4 years at this point, right?
Yes, a little over 4 years.
Okay, so why don't you tell everybody what you do before you got into real estate?
Wow. So before I got into real estate, I was in corporate America. I was actually a lender before I came over to real estate. I worked with Merrill Lynch doing investments. I did retail banking. So I did a lot of, I call it all sales and customer service. In addition to that, I started and still do run an accounting company that I started when I graduated with my undergrad in 2009. And we're up to maybe like about 300 to 400 clients with that business.
Well, that's cool. So what was the thing that made you say, hey, I want to go get my real estate license?
Well, honestly, when I was doing my last role as a lender with PNC, I got a little bit closer. I was able to get a little bit closer to the real estate industry. That's the closest I had ever been. And I would speak to realtors. I would speak to people trying to get pre-approvals. And I always wanted to do real estate in the back of my head. When you watch those million dollar listing shows and you feel like, oh, I can do that. But I also knew that real estate was, you don't eat unless you kill every single day. And it kind of throws people off, because if you're used to getting like a paycheck every 2 weeks, then you really have to make a conscious decision and say, hey, I'm going to try real estate. And my wife at the time, she was, behind me, like, hey, go ahead and get your real estate license. So I literally went into work one day, and I always quit jobs in a in a funny way, but I just went to work and I'm looking like, man, there's a lot of these lenders in here. We're all doing the same thing. And it kind of was like killing my brain cells, to be honest. So I literally just got up and was like, that's it. I literally walked out, and then I found your school. I don't know how, I think online or something like that. And I gave you a call, and then I was able to get scheduled. And that's pretty much how it started.
So you just one day went, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to take the next step in my career.
Yeah. Because it's easy to procrastinate and be like, well, I'll do it later. Or, sometimes you just got to make those type of rational moves and just get it done.
So you came to class, you passed the state exam, and then did you immediately join Coldwell Banker?
No, so I started with a boutique brokerage, Pearson Realty, which is where we were doing the classes at. And I just started with them and, just started grinding pretty much. And one of my buddies from my other job or company, she just called me out the blue and was like, hey, I want to buy this house. Can you help me? And it was like literally random, like right after I got my license. And so that was good because I kind of gave a deal, my first deal. It was like a condo in the high part in the Bronzeville area, pretty straightforward. And I got a chance to see what the contract really looks like, the negotiation, the inspection. So, but that's kind of how that happened.
Well, first deal, you got to get a first deal somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing wrong with that. So that first year, now, if I remember correctly, and sometimes my memory fails me, you were actually rookie of the year for your first year.
Yes, absolutely. And that just came from determination of getting things done. I had a kid, we had our first kid, and I'm really not like the studious type of person. So it was really fire behind me and God to just say, hey, go to this class, don't play around, get the license, and then really start working, not just for you, but for your family. So I was able to connect with an investor, and we saw, its numbers are always crazy. I did like 60 deals in 30 months. I'm sorry, in 6 months. And 60 deals in 6 months. We saw 200 homes in 2 weeks. Wow. We literally saw 200 homes in 2 weeks. And he was good, though. He knew he can go in, he can spot them. Yes, I like this one. No, I like that. It's a lot of work. We were submitting at least like 7 to 8 offers a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were moving. I got a chance to develop a lot of relationships, because imagine how many brokers I'm talking to, for 200 homes and 60 deals, and lawyers and inspectors and all that good stuff.
So you really walked through fire right there at the beginning of your career.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, again, I got my license in May, and then I did all those deals by the end of the year, actually.
So within about 7 months. So your first deal was a friend, and then you tapped into this investor, and the investor and you went out and saw 200 homes, and the guy bought 60 of them. He bought 60
of them. Cash. Yeah.
Cash. Those are the kind of clients you want, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure.
Well, that's fantastic. And Just out of curiosity, not
Mhm.
not that I'm asking anything personal about this guy,
Mhm.
but the investor, was he a buy and hold? Was he fix and
Good.
flip?
Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about him. So he actually has a equity stake in the Skyway.
And so you were the point person to
Mhm.
be able to help buy those homes and shepherd everyone through the process.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So out of that experience, did you develop a team? Like, obviously, if these were cash, you didn't need lenders, but did you
Mhm.
have a lawyer? Did you put together a team that these folks used?
Yeah, so they have their main, because they obviously have been doing this before they met me, but they did have a pretty cool lawyer that they work with, and I developed a relationship with him, and we did a couple deals after that. And then they also had a contractor, but experience wise, it was a great experience. Got to see sheriffs go in and get squatters out. Got a chance to again see all these homes that are worth a lot more now than they were then. But it was definitely a great experience.
Did you have an area primarily that you guys were focused on?
South Side, Chicago.
Okay. All right.
Yep. And I never traveled to the South Side when I grew up on the West Side of Chicago. So that was my chance. I saw the South Side in its entirety during that time for sure.
So I'll give you a chance to really learn the city and especially the South Side.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you finished that sort of project with that
Mhm.
investor, and that
Yep.
sort of launched you into the remainder of your career.
Yes. Yes, it did. I realized quickly though that I don't really like to deal with those types of homes in a way. It gave me a chance to see what type of real estate career I wanted moving forward. Just because again, some of the areas weren't ideal for me. Then you got to deal with squatters and then people breaking in, people stealing the keys, hiding the keys, agents not showing up when they say they're going to show up, can't get in the property. So I definitely realized a lot early on.
Okay, so how did that experience then change what you did going forward?
So going forward, typically, from what I understand, people always start off with buyers, possibly because everybody's always trying to buy a home, right? And then during that time, the interest rates were a lot lower than they are now. So I started marketing myself, hey, I'm doing real estate, especially to my clients that I have for the tax accounting business. And I was just mentioning it. And I was kind of one of the first people to start posting a lot of my closings. And since I had a lot of closings with that investor, it was happening a lot quicker than normal, right? So people would inquire, hey, I'm ready. And then from there, I really just started leaning heavily on first time home buyers. And that was everywhere, all over the city, all over the suburbs. And I enjoy that because a lot of realtors don't like to drive far. I don't mind driving far, especially if it's somewhere I've never seen. Because I can really, I can remember and I can always have a reference. Hey, I did a deal in Steger. Hey, I did a deal in Round Lake or stuff like that. So,
Well, wow, those are two different, those
oh
are
yeah,
way opposites in the Chicagoland market.
oh
Round
yeah,
Lake is way north, Stager's way south.
way south. Yep, I did a deal there before too. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you started to focus mainly then on first-time home buyers and working with
Yes.
them.
Mhm.
And how'd you enjoy that?
I enjoyed it because I didn't buy my first home until 2020, actually. So I enjoyed it because it was something that I wanted to do or was looking forward to doing, right? So I'm helping everybody do something that me and my family is looking forward to doing. Um, and then also, that's a big decision, that you're making. So being a part of that, watching families or even watching single parents be able to muscle everything and go get their kids their own room, their own backyard, you know what I mean? that's always a good feeling for me. And then a lot of those people were like either clients of mine, friends from school. So being able to see them in that light and get those things done and being a part of it was really cool for me. So I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
that's great. So just out of curiosity, because you hadn't bought a home prior to starting your real estate career, did your outlook on people's situation change once you yourself went through the process and became a homeowner?
Yeah, it definitely changed. But I guess for the better. Because one thing for sure, I used their experiences. So when we went through our experiences, that it was kind of seamless. So I knew what I wanted. I knew, I was able to look past so much stuff when I bought my home. And my wife she always say that you pick the house quickly, because we literally did like a 5-minute walkthrough. And I was like, yeah, this is it. Let's call the broker. Let's put in the offer. And it was really that quick because I had seen so many homes. She was still, how how they are, looking at this, looking at that. And I was just like, no, this is it. This is the house. But it definitely changed the outlook because, again, just that feeling, and being able to say, okay, this is mine. I'm no longer paying rent. We've been paying rent since 2000 and probably 10. So 10 years we paid rent. We paid well over $100,000 in rent. The house we bought was around 200,000. So we literally gave away half of, the value of the home. But, it was a learning experience.
Well, but you do find a lot of people in that situation, right? Who
Yes,
are perennial
absolutely.
renters, and they don't understand that when you rent, you're essentially flushing your money down the toilet.
Yes,
Because you
absolutely.
don't get any equity out of that.
Yeah, none at all.
No. And so have you been able to use your experience after you've closed and after you realize that you flushed $100,000 down the toilet to be able to talk to new home buyers or first-time home buyers to get them to understand the value of what they're doing?
Yes, so I've definitely been successful with some. And sometimes you run into people who just do have an abundant amount of money, and they feel that, hey, I make whatever, I can live wherever I want to live, and that's fine. I don't even try to talk those people out of it because they feel like I make the money, I do what I want, and you're absolutely right. I think the people that we have a better chance of converting are those who think it themselves deep down. They're thinking, hey, I want to own, I don't want to go through someone selling my building next year. I've seen it all. I've definitely seen it all, where people have, living in a condo, and then the owner is like, well, I want to sell it next year. So you guys have until whatever to get out. Their kids are going to the schools, etc. And then what I use for me is we bought our house in 2020, and right now we have at least $70,000 to $80,000 worth of equity in the home. So you can't really save 70 to 80,000 in 3 years, right?
Most
So
people
real
cannot.
estate, yeah, most people cannot. So real estate, we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything extra. We just said, hey, we're going to start owning. We bought the house, we fixed it up how we like it, of course. But aside from that, just from going from renting to owning, we have already made about 80 grand in equity. So
That's great.
yeah.
And here's the thing is people don't understand, or at least people who have a rental mindset don't
Yeah.
really understand what that means. When I've talked to first-time home buyers in the past or people who are thinking about buying, and we would talk just about that. When you leave a rental property, you leave with nothing. When
No.
you leave a property that you've owned, you
Mhm.
have equity.
Yeah, you leave
And
with something.
yeah, you leave with something. And I've actually used what you just said. How long would it take you to actually save that amount of money
Yes.
without impacting your lifestyle,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely caught the front of the wave by
Mhm.
being in 20 and,
Oh man. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Our interest rate was like 2.4 or something crazy.
But it isn't even the
Something
interest
crazy.
rate. It's the fact that prices jumped up
Oh yeah. Right
in,
after that.
right, 2020 to
Yeah.
2022. They've jumped up in
Yes,
our area.
for
So,
sure.
yeah, that's absolutely true. So, so you buy a house. Now you're out there in the field and you're
Mhm.
working with first time home buyers. And
Yes.
so last year, out of curiosity, what
Mhm.
was your total production for last year?
It was a little bit over 5 million last year.
Okay. And
Yes.
then this point, we're at the middle of the year, a little over the middle of the year. Where are
Mhm.
you anticipating you're going to be at the end of the year?
I'm anticipating about 6 million for the end of the year.
So about a
I've been
20% increase.
Yeah, every year I've been blessed to kind of go a little bit over where I've been the previous year. So it's just a matter of getting a hold on it and trying to just do less work, but make more money. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet, but that's the goal.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, Jay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good goal to have.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because what I've realized in real estate is that it takes more than you, right?
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you market yourself, because that's
Hmm.
one of the things that I've seen you do really, really well on social
Hmm.
media. Is that your primary way of marketing yourself, social media?
Yes, absolutely. I have yet to done any type of traditional marketing. I guess would be like door knocking. Not that I don't want to do it, but door knocking, direct mailers. I've maybe done that maybe once or twice since I've been in real estate. But no, it all comes from social media and trying to inform people and getting those DMs about, hey, help me, I want to do this type thing.
And
Excuse me.
so let's talk about, because for a very long time, I remember watching your sort of feed, and you have a passion other than real estate, and it seems to be
Absolutely.
shoes, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. So it's funny though. I just got into shoes recently, like maybe during the pandemic, and that's just because I saw the um, the opportunity to make extra money doing it, and I had the connections and all that stuff. So I was able to get into that, and I met a lot of different people doing that. And I kind of I lost interest of it quickly just because the market is not where it was before. So I
Well,
kind of backed up a little bit.
yeah, and I was about to say, I have noticed I don't see too many shoe, posts. Every once in a really great while,
No,
I'll notice a
yeah,
shoe
it's rare.
post.
Yeah, and it's usually my shoes at that point. But yeah, I don't partake. Yeah.
But so now I see a lot more of your posts, as you've been
Mhm.
saying, that are informative, that
Yes.
are engaging,
Yeah.
right? So it seems to
Yes.
me that you are making an intentional effort to engage people.
Yes.
Okay. And how has that engagement benefited you?
It's been great. Honestly, I've been getting a lot more interest in listings, which is I think ideally where you want to go with your career. If you have to be able to list to last, right? I think that's what they say. If you can't last if you can't list or something. Um, but even with I want people to understand what I'm into. So that was the other thing too with the shoes. Like I don't want you to think that Jay is the shoe guy. I want to be the house guy, right? So so ironically, I definitely have made just besides from the market being crappy, I'm like, hey, I want to talk about home ownership. I have a lot of projects that I have coming up where I want to talk about my deals, like my day-to-day deals, the areas, the pricing, what the, some of the things that we're going through in these deals in real time, right? Because a lot of times people want to show that they're at the closing table, but like what happened beyond that closing table? So that's where the name Beyond the Closing Table came from. It's like, let's talk about real estate beyond the closing table, right? How was that deal? How, what are the taxes like in this area? How does it feel to move from Chicago to Bolingbrook or from Chicago to Naperville? That kind of thing.
Right. Well, and obviously that's an excellent way to engage people because you're giving them information, but you're using it from a real life perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so in terms of success wise, I mean, obviously, if you're going to do more this year versus last year, it's obviously turning out to be, more successful, or at least you seem to be getting more people that are engaging with you this year.
Yes. Yes.
So all right, so I just have to do this because I've been watching your feed for a long time. So you got to clear this up once and for all, man. I'm going to give you the chance. I'm going to give you the forum right here to clear this up, Jay.
Yes.
Are you team LeBron or are you team Jordan? Hey there, Real Estate Roundtable podcast listeners. I want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor, I Love Real Estate School. If you're looking to get your real estate license or fulfilling your continuing education requirements, I Love Real Estate School's got you covered. As an Illinois licensed school, they offer the state-required broker pre-license course, managing broker pre-license courses, post-licensing courses, and continuing education. And the best part, you can take the courses either through their live stream with a live instructor or online home study. So no matter where you are, you can get the education you need to take your real estate career to the next level. I Love Real Estate School is committed to helping you succeed in the industry. That's why they offer comprehensive, high-quality education at an affordable price. So if you're ready to start your real estate journey or stay up to date with your continuing education, head on over to iloverealestateschool.com today to learn more.
You can't be one. You can be both. So this is my thing about that.
Wait, let me explain why. Let me explain why I'm asking Jay this question. Because Jay, as part of his feed, is always on there pushing LeBron. And what he does is he whips up all of us Jordan fans. And I get the sense that he's doing this purposely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because he wants the engagement. And after I started arguing with him about the differences between the two, then I realized he was consistently doing that. So I realized
smart guy. You're a smart guy.
Stirring the pot. That's what he's doing. And don't I always say pot stir to you?
Pot stir, you do. But honestly, if I had to, if we're just going to say LeBron or Jordan without any reasoning, I'm going to go Jordan. I would go Jordan.
All right, good.
Yeah, that's it.
I will go Jordan because I have a whole bunch of reasons. And,
right.
And that's okay because I watched Jordan play many, many times. We had season tickets or partial season tickets during the Jordan era, me and my best friend. So,
wow.
Yeah, we got to see him. We were in the building the night that the dunk contest in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
At the stadium. And we were way up in the nosebleeds, but we were there. And
that's iconic. That's iconic time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing is having lived through that,
yeah,
nobody's ever going to be able to change my mind ever because I was there to witness the greatness.
Okay. I mean, I was at LeBron's high school McDonald's game too. I mean, so I get that. So that's kind of where my reasoning comes, is that people my age, like 30s, mid 30s, they never even seen Jordan play in real life.
Right.
They're going off of highlights and then just their hate for LeBron. Like, I've seen LeBron play, and to be honest, LeBron James is the next version of Michael Jordan. Like, if you had to say, not saying he is Mike, but he's the next version. He's the best player since Michael Jordan, like, regardless of whatever you want to say. But yeah, that's all.
All right. Well, we've settled that to some degree. I'm sure we're going to continue. And I have saved memes and I have saved your stuff because I'm going to come back at you next year when you come and go, yeah, he's the GOAT. I'm going to have to go, no. He might be the goatee, but he's not the GOAT.
That's funny. That's funny.
So, but I want you to understand that I recognized what you were doing in terms of getting people to engage with you, because it certainly seems the algorithms are set up for engagement, right?
There
Whether
you go.
it's Facebook or it's Instagram, and they're looking for engagement, and you certainly had some engagement when you would throw that stuff out there.
Yes, and my whole mindset behind stuff like that is, I'm going to get 50 people or 100. Sometimes it was going to like 100 people to talk about that. So then when I say I have an open house, those same people would see it.
Yep.
So that's the
Absolutely.
thought process.
So very strategic. And I think that it's working for you, obviously. That kind of thing absolutely works.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about what's going on in the market right now in terms of what's your experience, what's happening.
Okay, so the market, in my opinion, it depends on a lot of factors, like where are you looking, right? If you are looking in a place where there's a lot of inventory or not so much inventory, right? So, but overall, I don't think there's a lot of inventory if I had to look at the whole market and say it's just not a lot of inventory out there. So I definitely have been seeing people ask a little bit more for the price of their homes. I don't think it's at a point where they're being unreasonable, but they are asking for a little bit more. I mean, if there's less houses, you charge more for your house. I mean, everybody, that just depends on where you are in that spectrum. I mean, then one day when you buy the house, you might sell when it's less inventory, and then you charge more for the house. So it just depends. But the market, I think it's a good market for individuals that can actually afford to buy, who have good credit, who have money to put down, who really want to take their time. You know what I mean? It's not quick like it was, like you said, in 2021, where, okay, I'm buying this house. I'm buying. I don't care what the house. It was a lot of people that really didn't even care what the house looked like, to be honest with you. They were just caught up in the mindset of, I can't have it, so I really want to get it, type of thing. And that goes from anything. So especially houses lately, but it's a great market for buyers who can actually buy. And when I say actually buy, they have the credit, they have the down payment, comfortably have it. They're not trying to scrap it together, and you know what I mean? And then it's great for sellers who have a lot of equity in their home, and then they can go buy comfortably if that's the case. So I have, and I'll kind of speak real live deals. So I have a deal in Bolingbrook. We priced the home at $287. The area was giving 280 to 290 vibes. The whole area ran comps and stuff. So my seller was like, Jay, do you think you priced it too low? And I said, no, I don't think I priced it too low, because I'm looking at the market, right? She was more so thinking from a personal standpoint because it's her house. And I was like, no, I didn't think I priced it too low. So we were getting lowball 230, 240, 250. We're at 287, right? So one of the houses that were priced at 289, which is what I use, end up selling at 270. So 289 to 270, about a $20,000 difference. So I was able to show her, hey, this house sold at 270. It has new plumbing, new electricity. It has a whole bunch of new stuff. You really haven't done anything to your house since you bought it 5 years ago. So the market showed her, hey, no, this is what the house is worth. So she still is walking away with a nice amount of money. And then she's purchasing in the city, which is a lower price point, in my opinion, when it comes to like taxes. You can get a bigger home in the city. She's going to like the South Side area. So you can get a bigger home. And then there's a lot of those homes that way. So which comes to the inventory. There's a lot of people who tried to get into the fix and flip game about a year ago. And then when they tried to sell it, interest rates shot up. So now they're stuck with it, right? So that inventory in the city, I think, is a lot more than it is where in the suburbs. So she's a prime example of, both sides of the spectrum, in my opinion.
Just out of curiosity, what did you end up selling it for?
Oh, so we got an offer yesterday for 275. They want, 270. They want 7,500 back. So we're like at 260-ish. They are not doing an inspection. They're taking it as is. And it's a conventional deal. And so I told her, if you get this house inspected, they're going to tear it. Anybody inspect this house they're going to tear it to shreds because you have a bad deck. You got a, roof, furnace, steps in the front. The list goes on. You know what I mean? So she understood, and I was just like, hey, I don't want, to lowball you, but you need somebody that's going to give you an as-is, no inspection type deal, because you're going to not really get away with a lot of stuff, but you're not going to be bothered with so many things too.
Right. Right. And so do you feel that she's going to accept the deal?
Yeah, she's accepted it. She's already accepted it. Yeah.
Good.
So 2.6. So again, about 20,000 less than what she was expecting, but the market changes every day. So you get what I'm saying. And then we couldn't show the house like how we have to do like random showings because she has a family, dogs, it's just her. So we could never really have a regular open house. We've literally been doing open houses on Thursday night just because of her schedule.
So, so you had a perfect storm of can't show it, house needs work, want a little bit higher. You had the perfect storm.
Yeah. But we figured out, she's like, and I'm going to trust you to, and again, I'm just being transparent. Like I'm not chasing a commission check because my relationships are more important than a $5,000-$6,000 payday in some cases. It's like, I want you to understand that I want you to get the most for your house. And then she has to move too. She already is like making arrangements in Chicago for her kids for school. So you have to go. You can't wait around for this magical offer, right? You have to make a decision and go. So
that's funny. And so, as you look at the market, so you mentioned earlier about interest rates climbing some or a lot.
Yes.
How has that affected people who are looking to buy? Has that made them buy smaller properties, not buy? What's your thought on that?
The sad thing is that it's been making people stop buy, like not buy. And I just wish people were more informed on it, right? Because you have a lot of people who never even thought about an interest rate saying that the interest rates are too high. I'm going to wait for them to come down. And they're just literally regurgitating what they heard someone else say, right? It's not that you studied the market, when it may sort of kind of come down. You're just literally saying, I'm going to wait because you heard 10 people say they're going to wait, right? So I don't have, again, so people have literally stopped buying from what I've seen. But again, those are just people that are not informed. The people that are informed, that understand money and understand interest rates are still buying right now. They may be looking for a better deal and try to talk sellers down, but they are still purchasing.
Well, and here's the thing too. And I'm a guy that grew up in this business with interest rates from 7 to 9%.
Right.
So, I mean, I've had to sell a majority of my career with those kind of interest rates. And the fact that we've had these artificially held interest rates in the 2s and the 3s and the 4s. Well, I get that people say, well, that's what I can remember from the last 10 years. Right. But the reality is, in a normal market, these are probably the normal rates.
Exactly.
And if you actually do the math, I mean, sure. Are you going to pay more if you were able to get a 3? Then now you're able to get a 6? Yeah, you're going to pay more. But you can't get a 3 anymore. Right. And you should have bought when you could have got a 3.
Yeah.
Right. But you didn't. Yeah. So now you got to deal with what is.
Yeah.
Right. And, again, I agree with you. There's so many people that are out there saying, I'm not going to buy. I'm going to wait for the rates to come down. I don't know that there's going to be this huge drop. Once again, it's not going to happen. There's going to be, maybe there'll be a fluctuation, but you're not going to see the drops that we've seen. You're not going to see 3s and 4s anytime soon.
Exactly.
Right?
I agree.
So let me ask you this. You've been in the business now 4 years. At one point, you were a new guy and new into the business. What would you wish you knew then that you know now? If you could go back and tell the younger Jay, the newbie Jay, something that would help your career then, what would you wish you would have known?
I would just tell the old me to stay consistent with, develop a system and just stay consistent with whatever that system is. Because I would be honest, even up to 2 years ago or even a year ago, you can be so transactional, right, that you're really just literally going from deal to deal, when you should look at it from experience to experience and work that experience the same way every single time. Follow up the same way, reach out the same way, whatever marketing you have, whatever game plan you have, just follow it straight through every single time. Because being transactional, I know this business is about transactions the most, but you won't really last if it's just about that transaction thing, because eventually you might not have a transaction. So what are you going to do to keep going? And then again, even recently for myself, I had to realize that, okay, what type of system am I going to put in place to just stay consistent? Because the deals will come if you're consistent with whatever system you have. So that's what I would tell myself, is develop a system and then tweak that system and then work it all, keep working it at all times.
Now, do you use a CRM system, a customer relations management program?
So we do use a system, I think it's called Moxie Engage or something like that, over at Coldwell Banker. So we use that. I've been using OneNote, Microsoft OneNote, for my own, quick access, where I would, I have buyers, I have sellers in one notebook, buyers, and then, I try to update them daily, put notes, what we spoke about, game plans to reach out to more people. So yeah.
And has that helped you become more consistent?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And I'm able to, because even the clients see when you're not consistent too. So they'll be like, oh man, I haven't spoke to my broker today, or he hasn't reached out. And again, you're probably chasing somewhere. You're probably chasing a new lead, right? And you forgot that you have this other person waiting on you to connect them with the lender, or go over their buying options. But if you have a system, then nobody gets lost in that in your agent. And I've lost people. I'll be honest. I lost people before because they felt like, oh, I didn't speak to him. He didn't send what he was supposed to send. And I'll be honest, I felt like crap when they be like, well, I just went with a new agent. I'm like, so yeah.
So sort of dovetailing on that, what would you think is, or what would you say is number one skill that a real estate broker today needs to have?
Communication, for sure. Like effective communication, not just everybody can talk, but like, what are you saying? Like, when are you going to follow up? Are you going to, did you follow up? So but that communication, hey, I understood you. One thing that I've been successful with in my career is literally being able to take somebody when the inventory was healthy, of course, but being able to do one or two showing tours and find the house. But that's just because I've listened to what you said you want, and then we find it. I'm not showing you things that you don't want because I listened last time when you said this room was too small. So communication, I would say, is the most important skill you need as a real estate broker agent.
Excellent. And I'm going to put you on the hot seat for 1 second. Do you take buyers out without being pre-approved?
No.
Okay, good. Why?
No, I have, and it's bit me in the butt because they end up couldn't get pre-approved. Like, it was a waste of time. And I'm a family man. I love my family. I love being at home. I love my kids, my wife, hanging out. So, excuse me, if you take me out, if I take you out hours, days, and you can't even get pre-approved, I could have figured that out the first day, right? So the fact that I didn't do that the first day, and now you've taken away time from me and my family, no, you have to have a pre-approval. I don't care who you are, honestly, like, unless you got cash, but you have to have a pre-approval.
Good.
For sure.
So obviously somebody with cash, you're asking for proof of funds.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that too many agents will say, oh, you know what? They're going to be approvable. I'll take them out.
Yeah, I've done that.
And it bit you.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It bit me good. It bit me real good.
Obviously, not the good that it happened, but, again, it's one of those things where if I told you, and by the way, I did tell you that.
You did tell me that.
If I told you, you're not going to listen to me. But once it happens to you, once you've had that experience, right?
Yeah.
Then you don't want that experience again.
Yeah. Yeah. People should respect your time enough to get a pre-approval. If you can't respect my time enough to go ahead and get the pre-approval, then it's not something, you're just pretty much showing me how the relationship is going to be at the beginning. Right. It doesn't take long to get a pre-approval if you can get one.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the other thing, though, too. It isn't even, I don't even look at it as so much my time, although let's face it, it is. But I look at it as, why would we waste their time showing them properties that they can't buy?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, people have visions of grandeur. People are like, yeah, I want this. And they can't afford that. So let's stay in the ballpark of what you can afford.
Yes. Yeah. And a big takeaway, one other thing that I always tell people to ask their clients is, what do you want your monthly payment to be? Because a lot of the times they might say, I'm looking at a $500,000 house. Well, a $500,000 house might be a $5,000 payment, depending on where you live, right? And if you have expectations to pay $1,900, then we need to adjust that. And then you can't always depend on your lender to ask those questions either, because lenders sometimes have a million clients too. and they work for a big bank, and they're just issuing out these pre-approvals. They haven't spoken about the monthly payment, the taxes, the condition that the house needs to be in. So you pretty much have to, once you get that pre-approval, you need to have a conversation with the lender and make sure that the expectations for the monthly payment is known by everyone.
That's great advice. That is great
Yes.
advice, because people don't think of, that they, like you said, they'll go, oh, $500,000 house. But you need to break it down for them to give them the monthly. So are you comfortable
Yes.
with that monthly payment?
Yes.
Because some people, while they may have the ability to spend more, but based on what the lender says they're approved for, they don't have, they don't have a comfort level with the higher monthly payment.
Yeah.
So I think that's excellent. That's excellent advice.
Yes.
Speaking of advice, so you're walking down the street, a guy stops you and says, "What do you do?" You say, "I'm in real estate." And the guy says, "I'm thinking about getting in real estate."
Yes.
What advice would you give that person to get them started off on the right foot?
On the right foot. Wow. I mean, people ask me this all the time, but
well, I mean, after you tell them to come to my school and make sure that
I tell them to come to your school and they get right. I'll just tell them, hey, the advice is you need to have a mentor that can help you as well. Somebody that's going to give you like some hands-on experience with it. I always invite people to say, hey, if you ever want to come to, showings, I can take you. My clients don't mind if I bring somebody else with them to look at houses. Even the closings at some point. I think, as long as your clients are okay with it, come to a closing. It can't hurt you to sit through it and hear and be exposed to that stuff earlier. And then just make sure that it's something that they really want to do, because it is very time consuming. And they just have to be ready to give it their all and make sure that they're consistent.
So actually, I love that, because, so many times when you're new, you don't know how the process works.
Right? For sure. For sure.
And so to have somebody say, a mentor, a coach, somebody say, hey, why don't you come with me? That's invaluable.
Right.
For people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they get the sense of the entire process. And so then when they finally start talking to people about it, they have knowledge of that process. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. Any other advice? Anything that you would tell somebody?
Any other advice? No, just get out there and do it. I mean, that's the best advice I can give somebody, is to definitely be hands-on, be consistent, have good communication is very important, and find a mentor that doesn't mind kind of showing you the ropes, right? And sharing their best practices with you day to day if they can. That's what I would say.
Got it. I do want to circle back on one thing in terms of social media. So I mentioned I see you on Facebook, and what other social media do you use intentionally?
Instagram. So I've been doing Instagram, and I try to post just house stuff, the big pretty $1 million homes and stuff like that. Just because people like looking at that stuff. So I think that posting that, I get a lot of engagement, and just keep stay in people's face and say, hey, this is what I do, right? Reach out to me if you're looking to find out more information about that. And what I'm going to be doing moving forward, again, is going to be just trying to give some information out about, again, the market, buying a house, selling a house. And again, it's going to be video. That's another thing. I want to try to, making quotes and stuff is fine, but video, you think video is a lot more effective, because they might feel like, hey, I know that guy, I've seen him before. I trust them more. So video is definitely going to be a big part of my marketing moving forward.
Great.
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions from people after the podcast is published, and they say, "Hey, can I reach out to your guest?" So, Jay,
Yeah.
would you mind if our guest, I'll put your contact info in the show notes below.
Yes.
Do you mind if they reach out and ask any questions?
No, absolutely. Definitely feel free to reach out about any questions you may have. It doesn't matter what they are. I'm actually going to be renting out a cafe soon as well in like Oak Park or something where you can come by, we can talk about the market, we can talk about, houses. You can carve out like a 30-minute period within a certain time frame, and we can just sit down, have coffee, and just talk about whatever you want to talk about real estate related.
Well, that's cool. And
Yeah.
so for somebody to take advantage of that, where's that going to be?
So I'm going to post the times on my my handle on Instagram is @myrealtorjbutts. So I'll post the information there, and then on social media, the company is Beyond the Closing Table. I'm going to be posting some information on that business page as well, and my personal Facebook page.
Great. So I'll make sure that I have all that stuff in the show notes. So if somebody wants to reach out, that sounds like a great idea. It gives you the opportunity to talk to you one-on-one about whatever, whether it's getting into the business, whether it's selling, whether it's buying, investing. Obviously, with your experience, you've got a pretty deep experience with investors and what they're looking for as well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Do you still work with a lot of investors, or is it primarily the new home buyers?
It's primarily home buyers and sellers, but I do have people that are investing as well. I don't work wholesomely with like somebody that's just strictly investing, but it may be somebody that already purchased their home and they're trying to buy like a multi-unit now. Those are primarily the individuals that I work with, but I am still open to working with investors. But we would just have to make sure we get it organized a lot before we actually start going out.
You don't want to go look at 200 more homes?
No. It was a great experience, but no, I don't have to see 200 homes again for sure.
Well, Jay, I want to say thanks so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Certainly you're on your way to an appointment, and I appreciate you still keeping the appointment with me. I think that you've shared some of your vision in terms of what the business is, and obviously how to do this business, better in this market. So I really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure that our listeners are going to get a ton out of what you talked about and how they can apply it to their business, or if they're thinking about getting in the business, why they might want to do that. So thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And as always, you can reach out to me. I'm always available to help you and any of your friends and family.
Thank you. Yeah, you're great. I appreciate your help. And I'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, man. Take care.
Talk to you soon. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye. Thanks again to our sponsor, I Love Real Estate School. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I hope you enjoyed hearing from our amazing guests, and you picked up some valuable tips and insights that you can use in your own real estate business. If you liked what you heard today, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more great content in the future. And if you're an agent who's interested in coaching, I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me directly through my website, myrealestatesalesmanager.com, or connect with me on social media. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you the next time in the Real Estate Roundtable podcast.